Well, hey there, YouTube. It's Petey, and I'm back making another video. This is we'll call it half of a snack time. So, this is Joker Ace Dry Cider. So, ingredient is apple juice, malic acid sulfate, which is the preservative. No sugar added. European in its distinct champagne characteristics. Enjoy this exhilarating alternative to beer and wine. Our master cider maker decided he would experiment and make a dry cider. The result is Acer Joker. So this is from it says California. I thought this was from like Michigan or Wisconsin, but we went to Pete's Fresh Market today. Got 10 little bottles of poppy seeds. They were $1.49. They were supposed to be 4.25 ounce or 120 grams. They were 60 grams. They were half. So I'm gonna be going back to Pete's and raising a stink, get my money back on those poppy seeds. But they were good. They were good poppy seeds. And this Joker they had, this was $5.50 for a 6-pack of this. And then they had Cedra, which is another. It's like a malty type tasting sweet cider. This is dry. This is really good. The malic acid leaves you this dry finish that's spectacular. So I like that Joker. It was affordable. Like typically at Aldi's, it's like $8 for a 6-pack of that stuff, and theirs is pretty sweet. So I thought I could show you some of the stuff that I got at Goodwill. I like using these OnePlus 18-volt Ryobi batteries. They're lithium ion. They're not NiCad, and they have no memory, and they work really well, and they're lightweight. So I had a much larger charger that was one of the +1 chargers. We ran into this in Teleport today. So we picked this one up, and one of the things I like to do, depending on the device, this had some weird security bits, so we loosened those up, opened it up, and then we unsoldered the power cable, cut the power cable down to about maybe 24 inches, 18 inches, somewhere in there, and then re-soldered it and re-ran it through its safety binding and out the back. So now I don't have an unbelievably long extra amount of cable to deal with that I'm never really going to use. And if I do run into a situation, let's say I hit the lottery and we buy a house and I need a longer run for in the garage, I could very easily open this up and replace it with a full-length cable again. It's like I've got cables here. We've got a surplus of stuff, so it isn't really a big deal to hack stuff down and make it a little smarter. Why don't you be a sweetheart and hand me that thing? I'll show them that. This is kind of a neat thing. It's a toy, and it's a binocular. It's an electronic binocular, and it has a microphone. There's a SD card slot in here, so we put an 8 gig card in there. And then there is infrared, there's night vision, there's thermal, and they have zoom, and then there's some computer graphics you can overlay on it too, and you can record all of this. So what we're going to do, we're going to give this probably to my grandson. He's really little for this yet. I think a 3 or 4 year old kid, I don't know, 4-year-old would probably be good. But we're going to hold on to it. We're not going to give it to him right away. And I thought, well, what would be fun is oftentimes we can't find Kita. We don't know where he is. He'll go and hide himself. So I thought, wouldn't that be fun to shoot some video with this of us finding him in the closet using the heat or the night vision. So hopefully sooner rather than later we'll have a highlight reel for you. Now this, I got this, it's a toy gun. It's part of a laser tag, excuse me, setup. So there's this lever here, and it makes this noise. You can change the color depending on your anger level, and then you got to do it GAT style. I don't know if you can hear the oh. I don't know if you can hear the. All right, there's a vibrator. There's a vibration motor in here. So yeah, and then I just changed projectile and reloaded. That's the rocket launcher. You only get one of those. So this would be great for the laser tag. Unfortunately, they just had the guns, and I think I paid $2 for this, and I was like, I got to give this to my little brother. When he was a kid, he really enjoyed his toy gun collection. And hey, honey, would you hand me the Ryobi charger? I want to see what happens when we charge this up. So yeah, I was like, oh man, I'm really torn because I kind of want to keep this for myself and just use it to grab my wife's attention if she's working on something and I need to get her attention. Yeah, it just charged it. That would be a good way to do it, because just fire off the rocket launcher and she's gonna go and curse me out. So I found another one, and that one had corroded battery in it, so I had to take it apart and putting it back together. It was really a well-made toy, really well designed, well thought out, and a couple of the fastener, there was nuts, and one of them wasn't in right. So I ended up taking that apart and putting it back together a couple times, which has been a thing lately. I've been just effing up and having to, you get done with it and then you got to go back in. When it's something that has like a dozen chassis screws, that's not fun. Now, mind you, one of the perks of all this resale shopping is that I run into a lot of stuff like this, which oftentimes they'll have the dead battery. Well, I'll take it apart and cut my own. I've got plenty of these lithium-ion 18650 cells. So if it's a lithium-ion driver, sometimes you'll run into them and they're dead, and people will drop them off at Goodwill, and I'll end up replacing that. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 of the single, the ones that run on a single 18650, and this is the one charger. Well, I didn't run into a real lot of chargers. 2 of the Ryobis have a wall wart. This is nice because it's got a wall plug, and I just reduced this today to make it about 24 inches. Now, the weight of the driver makes connection with, there's a couple of contact points. And what I used to do was I would clip on alligator clip probes, because we have maybe 2 of these that fit on here, and then a couple of the other ones don't. So you would just clip, I marked them positive and negative, and so you wouldn't, reverse polarity. They all follow the same thing with the positive on the right. So, clipping onto these little things and then clipping onto these points wasn't ideal. It really isn't ideal. I found myself soldering little jumper wires on there, and then I would charge it for 8 hours and then unsolder them. And when you've got like 6 of these, you charge them all up and then you're good for a couple of months. So it's not like I'm charging them all the time. But what I did today, I opened this one up and I put in 2 ports, and I made 2 extension cables that are clearly marked black and red. So when I go to charge the ones that this is designed for, I can stick it on the ones that it's not designed for. I just lay it up like this next to it and plug these in, and Bob's your uncle. So I hope you're enjoying this, my Goodwill haul. People make these videos. This is my haul. We hauled all this stuff. Oh, ow, 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 ow. In case you're not aware, I had surgery on my elbow. I had a bone spur removed, and that's why I just made that chicken shit noises, because the surgery was like 48 hours ago, and I'm in bad shape. So this was a Soundcraft Spirit notebook mixer. These mixers run on 40 volts AC. So it's like 20 volts AC. Then there's 0 volts AC on the center pin, and then 20 volts AC on the third pin. It's a 3-wire power connection. And these mixers sound really good. They didn't really skimp on sound. Okay, there isn't a lot of features. It's a mono effect send, stereo return. You've got a monitor amp out, tape in, stereo A and B in. There is phantom power, 48 volts. There's a tape input, monitor amp, headphone volume on one pot, master volume mix. So you have these 2 stereo channels that just have the effect send, return, and panning. They don't have any EQ. And then there's 4 channels. They do have gain. And there's turntable preamps in here. Then you got 4 mic pre's and 4 line inputs with the balance, send, and then bass and treble EQ, which the EQs on this thing are really nice sounding. They're really nice sounding. Now, the story with this, I wanted that mixer ever since they came out with that, because I read about it and I heard that they're good sounding for the price. And also, I like the fact that it uses, the power supply that it uses is 40 volts AC. To me, that tells me that it's got it going on, as opposed to a single supply, which is what I have. For our indoor practice thing, I got a mono price mixer, an 8-channel mixer that runs off 12 volts DC. Now, it's not bad. It's hi-fi, but it's kind of home hi-fi. It's not really, I don't really notice hiss. The EQ is okay. It's a 2-band EQ. There's a stereo effect, send and return. This one, it's a mono send. And you know what? No, it is stereo send on that one. The benefit of that is it's the stereo send, and then it has a built-in USB audio interface. Now, I have this. This is a little USB interface, so I can plug this into the computer and then plug that into that mixer with some RCA cables, and Bob's your uncle. And then today, would you mind, right over here, there's a Behringer interface that I got today. It's right on top of the box. Since we're doing Goodwill Haul. And this isn't it. I just got an insane amount of stuff in the past couple of days. So this is a Euphoria UM2. It's got a phantom power switch, a USB, a couple of RCA outputs. There's a mic and a line gain, instrument 2 gain, and then the output. Headphone, direct monitor switch, and you can go. The front panel jack is one of these jacks that'll let you go either or. So you could go stereo in. This would be, see, I'm not sure about not exactly sure about the U control. Does the U control do 48? Is this, see, this has an optical output. Oh, there's a monitor switch. Does this do 48? I'm not exactly sure. But the matter of fact is the main feature on the mono price that trumps this Spirit is that USB interface, built-in interface. You know, that's about it. I mean, the mono effect, the mono effect send out. And you know what? I bet you it's a stereo jack. I bet you it's a stereo jack. I bet you it is. I bet you I'm totally wrong about that. So yeah, that's what I'll have to do is hook that up properly. So I'm glad we made this video. Now, the thing about the Spirit, like I said, it's about what I need here for my wife and I to do our rehearsing. So this will be a permanent install. It'll be set up in here for our headphone amp system. And like I have a 3-band EQ with an exciter. I got an exciter built into the MP3 player. So as far as the EQ goes, I'm more than likely just going to run the MP3 channel into the stereo. And then that way my wife and I can have independent EQs. And the stereo B, we have a mic. We have a room mic. And I've got it's called a Behringer reverb machine. It's a stereo in, stereo out, really nice reverb pedal that people complained that it tone sucked. Well, running it in the effects loop, is it going to matter if it tone sucked? I don't think so. So I'm going to be setting this up because the power supply arrived today. Do you know where the power supply for this went?
Is it on the pillow next to you? Can you reach over with your right arm? There you go.
So it did. I won this. The story on this is there was a pawn shop in the area with a real geeky guy that ran it. He had one of these in his case for, I think it was $90. And it didn't have the power supply, and I was always eyeing it. And eventually he asked me to repair his stuff. So I came over, he filled my car up to the ceiling, completely crammed it full. And he was unbelievably rude. He like turned into a dick once the deal actually went down. Because I said, well, why don't we, he was really worried about like rates and like I was going to try to rape him. And I'm like, dude, I'm really not like that. I'm really a good guy. And I would be doing this so we could be friends. Because he had a lot of the same musical tastes and he was a synth player. And I was like, man, maybe we could do something musically. I was getting to know the guy. And he like flipped out on me. Crammed the car up full of gear. So I did everything. I fixed everything I could. I did a bang up knockout job. One of the things blew up when I plugged it in. I'll remember that. But I fixed a couple of 2x12 combo amps with effects. Like I fixed a vintage Gibson tube amp. I did a bunch of work. And then I brought everything back and gave it to him and told him to fuck himself. And I didn't take a penny for the payment. And that's what I wanted. I wanted him to give me a deal on this mixer. That's all I wanted. So yeah, fuck that guy. That guy is a jagoff. And I'm pretty sure he's out of business. But that always left a bad taste in my mouth. And you do see these from time to time, and they never have the power supply. So what I did, I got this AC 17 volt X2 600 milliamp 20 VA power supply. It was $20, and then I had these triple connector. It's got spots for 4, but there's actually only 3 wires. And I opened it up. It's 4 screws, and the whole thing came apart. I smelled it. It didn't smell like any of the components had blown up. It didn't have the magic smoke released, as they say. So I ordered the power supply, which came in today. And against better judgment, yes, I'm supposed to be taking it easy since of this surgery. But, what's it?
You can't.
Well, it was kind of a perfect time to get a little work done. So yeah, we worked on it today. And basically, there's a forum post where you got this guy who's saying, the black wire's the ground. And it's not. It's the middle wire. It's the green wire. The factory connector is up here. See that factory connector? So the 3 wires that come off of that connector travel down about 3.5 inches of wire, and they solder into the circuit board. So you need a dual output 17 volt AC adapter. 17 by 2. This pulls about like 400 milliamp. This particular adapter puts out 600. So I had the triple wire connector. I cut that in half. It was like a one piece of wire that connected to itself. Cut that in half, and we soldered one end into the PCB, and then I drilled 3 holes with the drill bit, one for each wire, and then kind of connected them by jockeying the drill bit back and forth. And then I hot glued that in there, and also did a relief on the board. It had some funky glue in there. I chopped all that out and then re-glued it. And then the power supply had a round cable coming out that was broken. The insulation was broke. I should have taken a picture and bitched about it and got $5 back. But this is the strain relief. I was able to drill that out because it had the plastic stuck in there. It didn't come out. So I used these funky drill bits, these like speed boring bits, and cleaned all that out. And then I think I put a little hot glue in there. So yeah, it has this triple wire coming out. The only thing you need to know is the center connector It's not like high and low or minus and plus because this is AC. So the center connector is 0 volts AC, and then the outer two are the 17-volt ones, and it works fine. So we hooked this up tonight with the power supply, and it works. The board sounds really good. It sounds better than the and I was just going right out of the headphone port. When I go through my fancy whippity dip EQ, I've got this headphone amp that has OPA, Burr Brown OPA 2134 op amp. These fancy, they're $7 just for the IC chip. It's an 8-pin IC, and it's a cork sniffer, like high performance, low noise headphone amplifier op amp chip. So I've got that, and it's got independent right and left ear volume controls, which sometimes they'll be like one side's quiet for me, something with the wiring or with the headphones. Really like that, being able to adjust it. Then I built a 3-band EQ that uses authentic NE 5532, actual Texas Instruments ones, not the cheap Chinese fakes. So with all of that adding up, like I said, I've got the ability to run the BBE NJM 2150 EQ boards, which is the Aphex Oral Exciter. I've got that built in on a lot of this gear. So with that being said, like I've got it on my headphone amp, on my EQ, excuse me. I've got it on the MP3, and the MP3 has a built-in EQ, which is So I'm pretty sure we've got enough EQ to go around here. I really like being able to adjust the EQ on the bass guitar and on the guitar. And I also like being able to do it on the mains from time to time, but with the I'm going to have to figure it out, like I said, because I really don't have enough EQ to go around. That's the one other benefit of the mono price board. But that mono price board, it doesn't sound as good. I know this is going to sound better when I get it hooked up. And I don't really need all of the EQ. I can get it in other places, is my point. Because there's a EQ on the master output. There's like a 21 channel EQ that the whole thing goes through. Then there's a compressor and a gate for the room mic, and there is a preamp with an echo built in for the room mic. So as far as a little practice, like a mini mixer practice setup goes, it's nice and it sounds really good. And upgrading to the Soundcraft board happened because I knew about that board, and one of them popped up on an auction site for $17 without the power supply. So I got it. It was like $27 shipped, and then I had to pay $20 for the power supply, and I really wasn't sure if it was going to work out. And it did. The pots were a little scratchy at first, and after jerking them off, turning them all the way up, turning them all the way down rapidly, after about 10 pulls of that, everything cleaned up fine. So honestly, I'm going to be keeping my eyes peeled for more of these. I wouldn't mind having another one as a backup. I know the power capacitors tend to go bad in them. They have some electrolytic capacitors. The filtering is, basically that's just an AC transformer. And there's no fusing in it. Like, I'd really like to go in there and put some internal fuses in it maybe, but I'm pretty much going to be babysitting the thing when it's on. And we were at the dollar store, and I got a little microfiber cloth that I can keep on the top of it to keep the dust off of it. And then when my grandkids come over, they won't get knob fever. So I hope you enjoyed the Goodwill, my Goodwill haul video today. Keep in mind there was a lot more stuff. I got some What are those Air Jordans?
Oh, I don't remember what they were called, but they're Air Jordans.
They're like $60 Air Jordans. $60 new, so they're not the great ones, but they're nice, really comfortable pair of Nike gym shoes that were clean, white ones. And then I got some like lightweight black walking shoes that were brand new. For it was $10 for both of those pairs of shoes, and I needed some because I have my everyday wearing shoes. I got these. What do you call them? Woolen socks for Christmas, and I wore them like 3 days in a row, and then there was an incredible funky smell in my shoes with these socks. So I don't know if it was the wool or if the shoes just finally went bad, because these shoes are old. They're like a really upper mid brand of walking shoe, and man, I really love those shoes. They were comfortable. They lasted a long time. So I'm going to try to, I washed them today and ran a bunch of baking soda through them. I'm going to try to revive them. But, I got this 7 volt. It came out to 7.8, 4,500 mAh battery pack that's for heated. They have like heated clothing you can wear. They have like heated socks, and that's what this battery pack was for. I got that for 99 cents. It's over on the other side of the room, and I'm not gonna get up. But I'm trying to think of what other thing that would be kind of interesting that I picked up. That's probably about it. I know I got more cool stuff than that. But yeah, where is it? Where there's more stuff over there. So I'm looking forward to retiring the mono price, because see, that's built on top of a box that has an extra preamp, stereo preamp channel. It's got a MP3 player with a jack in the front for foot switching, and then the main buttons are replicated with real tactile switches, so I don't have to use the shitty ones on the front. It's got a front loader USB to put your little card with the drums loops on it, and then there's a 300 watt power amp in it, 150 for the sub and 75 per channel for the satellites, and that's all internally powered. When you open up this case, it's got all spots for 18650 batteries, and that powers the mixer. It powers there's an extra preamp in it. And then you have an external battery jack for the power amp. But like it's a nice little mini PA. It's all one unit. And I brought it in, and we have it sitting here, and we were using it just the mixer. So that's going to go back into its case, and that'll serve as a backup. If we do a remote, and God forbid something happens and my main system blows out, I've got a backup. Or we could use it for micro macro, like smaller. We don't want to bring the main heavy duty PA out. So we're at this point where I'm having options now, which is so cool. That's what's really awesome about this, is depending on where we're playing, how loud we want to be, what stuff we want to bring, how like doing it more efficiently. If it's a smaller pavilion and we're going out on a weekday, we can, or if I'm just going to do a noise set, I've got all these options now. Different size subwoofers I can pick. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I'm looking forward to filming more of that stuff next year. We're going to be getting out to Delwood Park and doing a show on the band shell, which we did last year. I was tripping. and it was just magical playing in the band shell. The sound, it really does something. You know, we had the micro rig, and this was like before I had that really dialed in. So I'm super, super, super stoked about next year getting back to Delwood Park. We're going to bring the micro macro rig. We're going to bring out the 12, and we're not going to have the big PA because that would bring Johnny Law down on us. We got to really try to just let that natural, just get right up at that threshold of where they can hear us at the main guardhouse, which is on the property. So Delwood Park is a huge place. It's ridiculously cool. One of my favorite places to go, and it was always been one of my goals in life was to play the band shell. Because we went out there with a drum kit and all of our amps, and the power was off. So we went to the main guardhouse and begged the caretaker to turn the power on, and he took a look at us with all of our, long hair and smelling like reefer, and we're all, drinking beer, knocking on his door. Please turn the power on so we can play our Black Sabbath covers. No way. But since then, I've been back there twice. Played one time with the kid, and they had this Aloha festival. So these people were up there with some like overweight, middle-aged white people with ukuleles, and they were singing Aloha, and they just wouldn't get off the stage. Like, it was bad. They weren't any good. They had like congas and a couple ukuleles and maybe a guy with an acoustic, and they were not stopping. It was like hours and hours and hours. I think they only knew one song, and that was called Aloha. So we played there with Shrimpy and the Peas years ago, and I remember waiting for like 6 hours, and I got pretty shit-faced waiting for them. So that was not good the first time I played. Then I went back there after being up for a couple of days, and I had a little magic mushroom to help me out, and it was just phenomenal. Like school bus full of kids. I think they were like sophomore kids. They all came up and watched us play, and they kept getting closer and closer and clapping, and like they gave us like this psychotic applause. Like it was applause on no level. Like it was like the Beatles, like shrieking and like going nuts. So that was like one of the funnest days I ever had making music. So I'm still buzzing from that, and I'm really looking forward to getting back to Delwood Park and playing that pavilion. Thank you guys for joining me on this one. Went a little long, but I'm gonna have to start taking it easy. I gotta rest this elbow. See if I can get this thing to heal up. All right, you guys, take care of yourselves. Merry Christmas. I'll talk to you tomorrow. How's that sound? And peace.